Um, let's skip right to it. The Beat Invitational yesterday.
Yep.
You watched the finals, right?
Yeah, yeah. I watched basically the last map en route. That
So
was that was all I was able to catch.
it was kind of funny yesterday because Goats ended up in the losers bracket, and then they pull out this composition: the Ryan, Zarya, Diva, Brigida, Lucio, and Moira. So it's three
Hmm.
tanks, three supports, and they just start steamrolling with it to the point where they win 11 maps back to back until they actually win the Beat Invitational in the finals against NRG. And it was kind of funny seeing all of these various teams try and counter this strategy. And as well as Twitch chat during the finals, we're trying to basically theory craft how to beat this, monstrosity of a composition: three tanks and three supports. And specifically, Stratus from NRG attempted to run, or was it Stratus, or was it Poised?
It was Stratus, I think,
So someone,
on the Bastion.
not it was not the Bastion. It was the Reaper pick on King's Row, and so a lot of people say that Reaper is good against tanks. He's good against one tank. He's good against two tanks. Is he good against four tanks?
No, no, not at all. This is a big problem he had during quad tank. A lot of people thought that he'd be good in quad tank. The issue in the previous quad tank meta, when Anna was very strong, was that Roadhog did what he did as far as tank busting, but he did it and he had 600 HP and a self heal. And
And a
you
damage
know,
reduction.
it's really really difficult to play a tank buster when you can also be one shot by basically every single tank in the game, and
Hmm.
and every tank puts out so much pressure on Reaper,
And
and
also on
that's why
top
it's,
of
that's
that,
why
now
it's
there's
just
the
a
one
problem.
second long Brigida stun that can prevent you from wraithing away.
Yeah, yeah. Now there's a stun. He doesn't really help the combo as far as like he doesn't follow up on grab very well. He doesn't synergize with any tanks well. Doesn't really synergize with any support particularly well now because Diva is so good, or Diva was fine. Diva's still fine. She'll counter the Nano Reaper.
So I think the
Uh,
only place that we consistently see Reaper in contenders level games is on Nepal Village. So what about Nepal Village makes Reaper such a strong pick, and what other maps do you think are good Reaper maps and why?
Um, the Nepal village strategy works because of the point is so enclosed that Fair Mercy doesn't work quite as well against the comp as it does on a lot of other maps. The problem is not that Reaper is necessarily bad on any map; it's that there's basically always a better hero to play. It's always better to play Fair Mercy, for example, on Koth, where a lot of people like to play him. I think he's still strong on 2CP. I think 2CP maps are very good for him, like Anubis specifically. Uh, a lot of the other ones, he just struggles to get to the point. If you can get him to the point, it's really good. It turns out having a hero that has shotguns on the point is pretty good when they have to
Wait,
walk into
what?
you.
That's
I know,
crazy
right?
talk. That's
Right.
crazy talk. Oh
Uh,
man.
the issue is always that it's so hard to get in, and he doesn't have a way to get in right now.
Hmm.
I use teleport a lot, and I think that's what kind of sets me apart. But a lot of the time, it doesn't work. A lot of time, you just kind of die for it. But it's worth it to try to make the play rather than just slowly walk at the point or have to use your wraith to get in.
So what changes to Reaper would make him meta? And is Reaper should Reaper be meta, or is he okay as a niche pick like May?
I mean, he simply needs some way to get in that isn't wraith or teleport. Teleport is super slow and super clunky. He also needs a better ultimate. His ultimate is atrocious as well,
And
actually.
that his ultimate was recently buffed though, so it's less
It,
trash than it was, but
not
still
well,
trash.
okay. It's less trash in like super fringe cases,
Mm-hmm.
but I still don't think it's very good. So for those of you that don't know, so Blossom now works. Blossom deals an instance of damage per person behind a bubble. So for example, if you have four people standing behind a Reinhardt shield, Blossom deals 170 damage. Times five, I believe. One of my subs let me know. I thought it would just deal damage per person, but it actually deals damage to the shield as well.
Yes, it
The shield
does.
counts as a person,
The shield
so
does
it's
count as a person.
170 times five damage, which is a bit better for breaking shield. And I've had a time where it's helped me out, but very very fringe. But I don't think that he needs to be a meta hero. I think Reaper is kind of in this the place where Bastion is, where it's designed for newer players. Very very simple, very straightforward kit that doesn't really have much nuance to it, and that's okay. Not every hero needs to have a super high skill cap where you need to be able to play them at the highest level all the time. It just doesn't need to be. Not every hero needs to be like that.
We're going to just go on a little bit of a tangent here because there was a donator asking a question to you. Um, just want to ask something that's really bothered me for a long time. Sometimes my aim just goes straight to hell, and if I change my sensitivity, I can aim again, but always feel weird. Should I just suck it up and keep one sense even while it's bad?
I think so. I think it's plenty natural to sometimes have times where you don't aim very well. I know that more than anyone because I'm one of the most inconsistent players to ever grace the face of the earth. Changing your sense is more of a band-aid fix than anything. I think it's better to just play a lot on one sense and be comfortable with that. Because the more you play, the more consistent you will be.
Now, do you play, like you had mentioned that you flex to a large number of heroes. Do you have the same sensitivity for every hero?
The only hero that I have my sensitivity changed for is Tracer.
Oh.
On every hero, I play 805, except for Tracer. Tracer, I play 806.25.
That is quite the difference. Even on Genji, you play at 4K DPI?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Now, one of the debates we had this morning while we were watching the Beat Invitational was about Reaper's spread pattern, and compared to something like CS:GO, where there's a defined spread or pattern or something like that, Reaper and any shotgun or spread in Overwatch is completely RNG. Did you play Counter-Strike or CS:GO or anything like that?
I played CS:GO for 2 years before I started playing Overwatch.
What do you think about the RNG spread pattern in Overwatch compared to set patterns and spread patterns in a game like Counter-Strike?
Well, let me start by saying that before CS:GO, I played TF2, and with TF2, the Scout, for example, had a shotgun as well. It had a scatter gun, and in all of the professional games, every shotgun hero had a set spread. So what this meant was there was a definitive best spot to shoot on a player, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but Blizzard has said that they think that that's a bad thing. So I don't think that a set spread will ever happen. I would like for one to happen because it adds, an element of, it gives you something, a reward for having game knowledge. And that's good to me. But they see it as an artificial barrier to entry for newer players.
Okay. Do you think that, like, Reaper himself, especially when you're talking about, like, Reaper 1v1s, if you're at medium range, a lot of who's going to win isn't going to be who aims better. It's how many people get RNG pellets to the head.
Yes.
Because Reaper's shotgun doesn't have consistent pellet damage like Diva, whereas Diva has, I believe it's 2 damage per pellet and 11 pellets per shot or something like that. Whereas Reaper's pellet damage is either 4, it's anywhere between 4 and 7. Is that how it works? You probably know better than I do.
2 to 7. 2 to 7.
2 to 7. So, like, the pellets themselves do different damage. So if you get a 7 damage pellet to the head, it makes more difference than a 2 pellet or 2 damage pellet to the head. So this medium range engagements between, especially like Reaper 1v1s, become really heavily down to RNG.
It kind of sucks that it is so RNG heavy. I really dislike that.
Okay, it's interesting. I'm interested to see what different people think about different topics, especially this one, which I never played. This Overwatch is actually the first.
Wait,
first...
I think I misspoke. I think it is just fall off damage. I think every pellet deals the same damage. I'm gonna be honest. I don't actually know whether pellets. I don't think they deal different damage.
I thought
I think it just falls off to 2 damage. That's my mistake. I don't think they deal different damage. But I mean, okay. So even if they did deal different damage, I don't think there's a way that I could actually like. The lack of damage numbers is always something that's kind of something I really don't like because TF2 also had damage numbers where it'll basically show how much damage you did above someone's head, and that makes tracking that kind of stuff very easy. But it's very hard to control like how many pellets will hit someone. So it'd be very hard to test whether a pellet did 2 to 7 damage.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense. For some reason I thought that it was different damage per pellet, but just double checked it, and it is the It's listed as the fall-off difference. So, I don't know where I got that idea from, but it's good that we clarified that.
It is still very random, regardless of that. Like, it matters so much about how many pellets. I mean, I've had times where I just randomly one-shot a tracer with Discord from the same range that I might deal 20 damage to a tracer. It's so random in terms of one-shot potential, and that's why I think he struggles so much against like flankers, for example, because the hitboxes are so small. But you do have times where you get very, very lucky and they just instantly fall over and they die.
Okay, so the match that we're going to be looking at is a match between. It's quite a high level match. You're solo queuing in this game. You're going against Caffey and friends and whatnot. And did you want to watch on stream or did you want to do screen share?
We can do screen share.
Okay, I will set that up here. And for the regular viewers of the chat, they might actually find the roster rather interesting with regards to who is in this game. So it's actually quite a coincidence, but this VOD that you linked to me has 2 longtime subscribers of the channel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So it's actually your duo, Shade and Toxic Rhino TP. His name is Crom. And let me just fix my... There we are. So yeah, Crom and Shade are they're subscribers of this channel.
That is quite the coincidence.
Yeah, it is. So this will be a fun one to look at. But before we get into it, how do you normally what is your main Reaper playstyle? And I assume if you're playing Reaper, you're going to have to adjust how to play him depending on map, depending on what the opponent's doing. But what is the main playstyle that you go for when you are playing Reaper?
I prefer personally to fight the backline. I play Reaper kind of like a flanker. I like to sit on the sides, but it is important, I think, to remember that you cannot do one thing the whole game. Like I won't spend the whole game flanking supports. I might spend most of the game doing it, but there will be times I'll try to pressure the Reinhardt, pressure the Zarya, for example, because sometimes that's how you win the fight. Just depends on what ultimates I think they have and how I adjust my playstyle accordingly.
Okay. Any thoughts or anything like that before we start the VOD and take a look at some Reaper play?
No. I think we'll see everything that I think I want to talk about.
Awesome. There is one comment in chat for you saying, "This is for Spirit. I watched a few of his YouTube videos before picking Reaper and got 52 elims in a single game. So thank you." So you're already helping people, and you did have a pretty cool video. I think Grizzlies put out a video of you going against Jonak on Reaper. So
yeah. I think it was a Jonak and Pine duo. I think it was because I played against they've been doing it for a few nights now.
Cool. Well,
I was already playing Overwatch all day anyway.
Oh man, you were talking games and it messed with me immediately. Is there any reason specifically that you picked this match to review?
I basically took the videos that or the VODs that I had sent to that I gave to my editor because they were games that looked okay, that I didn't completely feed. Because there's some games that
looked okay.
Sometimes sometimes you fight double sniper, and that happened Saturday night. A bunch of teams picked double sniper against me, and just the game was really, really hard. It was not very fun either. I just died over and over again.
So what do you attempt to do against double sniper, I guess?
You try to shadow step to the back line, and hopefully
they don't see you.
Kill them. I mean, there's not really any other way to play. Either you sit on the cart if you're attacking, or you shadow step to the back line. But it just results in you dying a lot. That's all I know. It's just pain and suffering.
So you're going on the left flank, which is normally where a Tracer or a Genji would initially go to.
Yeah, I find that matchup is fine. That initial area. See, here I'm not in voice actually, so I'm at a TP and. I didn't notice we were going white, so it looked really bad for a second there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sort of initial posture definitely is going under the assumption that your team is going to the right there. But no, you're the toxic one trick who's not in voice. Perfect.
I know, I know.
Now you're really, really sticking to walls, and it's one of the things that I noticed is that you're not immediately trying to
That's how you get a
close the distance. You're kind of just waiting for opportunities and sticking near to walls. How important is you know,
people do I think
cover instead of just trying to pursue people with your shotguns?
I mean, in a meta where Hanzo is so good and Widow is so good, it seems really foolish, I think, to attempt to walk in these wide open areas and force engagements when you can easily be one shot by these heroes. I really think playing corners is super important because you're at basically your best range. You can play the corner, especially with, you know, you saw my team. My team is right there, so I got to like 5 HP at one point, and I just am able to wraith back to them, and it takes almost no time. It's just as important, I think, to be able to cancel the wraith early, so it starts the cooldown to start ticking down.
I have a blossom.
So now that you have Death Blossom here, you made a comment, kind of you know, using Death Blossom Omega lol during the startup song. Do you ever plan to use Death Blossom a specific way, or just when you have your ultimate? When do you try and use it? You know.
So I actually I see a lot of people that really disagree with how I decide to use my ult. Generally, I will actually use my ultimate to secure very easy kills that I probably could get with my shotguns on support heroes. I find that soul ulting a Zen or a Mercy is the best use of the ultimate. They're guaranteed kills. Usually, it actually seems to tilt the support player that I'm playing against, which actually works. It works very well. And it stops you from thinking that you're going to get a 6-man Blossom. It wasn't going to happen, you know, when Dive was good. It's still not going to happen now. There are times where I may have Blossom, and I'll see that, and it'll be in the next map, because I watched this VOD before we started the stream, where, you know, you kind of use it as a hero play after the fight is over, you know, to try to turn it back. But generally, it's just not worth trying to get, you know, more than 2. Brigitte Bash, Diva Matrix, just getting shot in the head by a Hanzo. There's so many things that can go wrong.
Roadhog hook, Kree flash.
It's just not worth. It's not worth the headache. There have been some times where there's like a grab and I can just break the shield with the Blossom playing just outside of the Brigitte range, but again, it's just generally not worth trying to use. It's so much of a headache.
Okay.
Yeah, bubble for me? Oh, he just jumped off. Okay, well.
What did that Rhine do? That was a nice one shot.
I don't know.
What did I just watch, guys?
I love how calm you are. You're not trying to, you know, push the advantage. You know that they have to push into you if they want to take this point. So you just kind of sit where you're most powerful.
It's not a hero that's really going to be making too many plays. I think it's right here, actually. This fight is basically over, so I'm going to try for, you know, a hero play.
Yeah.
The fight is already over, so if I get, you know, if I'm able to get those 3 there, we can probably win. And if not, whatever.
So you're not valuing Blossom very highly at all. It's the same way that a McCree, when he realizes that he's lost his main healer or his main tank, the McCree, not usually a flanking hero, needs to flank and make a play in order to actually, you know, save the team fight if it is going to be saved. Okay.
Exactly.
Where is he playing? I don't actually know where he's defaulting.
Oh, wow. Caffey got a double kill with a right click from across the map.
I'm gonna be on the back line in a second. Wait.
So, this situation where you flanked around and you had a whole bunch of options, you could have gone for the Mercy, the Hanzo, or, you know, the Rhine himself. What made you decide to go after the Hanzo there?
Hanzo was fairly close. He didn't seem to really be playing as if he knew I was there. Mercy can generally be kind of a tough kill, because if he uses a Guardian Angel, the hitbox can be kind of wonky in terms of your pellets hitting. Ryan is not usually a good target to initiate a fight on because they probably have all of their cooldowns up. And Hanzo's going to be the biggest threat to me there in that fight. If I can kill him first, it's very, very good. Everything after seems kind of easy compared to it. Like the whole comp kind of crumbles after the Hanzo dies.
It was quite the stagger that they were able to get quite a bit of percent out of you.
Yeah, yep. It was actually like a 30-second fight.
Yeah, much longer than it needed to be.
I think it's because they traded on one side and we started down one. We got two of the right. They got two of the right click, but we were only able to res one.
What do you like? You're shooting targets that are, I suppose, farther away than most people would consider a shotgun hero to be effective. What do you feel is probably like the maximum range that Reaper should be firing at? So if you're going against, let's say that Hanzo, for example, and he's got his back to you, what range do you actually want to start firing on him?
I think that would depend. That depends a lot now on whether if he leaps, I would say about the range the Pharah I was shooting the Pharah at was fine because you always can wraith. If you're able to wraith behind someone, so let's say I shot him at the range I shot the Pharah at. I might get him, to about half HP as I'm slowly walking to him.
Yep.
And after that, I can wraith and force him to make a 180, and then just one-shot him after that. The last shot should be a kill shot, basically. But generally, I think it might be better just to wait until, even if he'll know I'm there. If I'm like on his back, it's probably gonna be best. You want to get as close as you can be, if you can help it.
Mm-hmm.
My team managed to lose this
before you even arrived at the fight.
Kind of got walked at.
Yep. Question from the chat: Why do people, and I'm not sure if it was you, shoot 200 HP Zarya bubbles?
I do it because I find that if I'm able to pretty much break the bubble in 2 shots, Zarya should really not be living that much. I noticed I did that a lot in round 1. There were some of those that weren't that good, but I try to do it. See there, she gets to 1 HP. If she's discorded or there's any other follow-up damage, the Zarya should die, but instead she lives. Zarya doesn't matter how much charge you give her. If you kill her, then she won't be getting any heal charge anyway.
Mm-hmm. And Reaper is one of the better picks against Zarya. 400 HP, no armor in terms of being able to reduce the incoming damage from Reaper, and 2 shots to break the bubble. So.
Yep.
Do you, Anna must be one of the more annoying ones for you to play against, right?
Oh yeah. Reaper has a gigantic hitbox, so you eat all of her cooldowns every time she has them.
And Hanzo got you again.
Damn it. Yeah, he can play on that outside area. It's not very good for me to go there because he can always leap down and walk to the other side, for example. This is a point I think that is deceptively bad. It may seem like it's really good for Reaper, but it's actually very, very bad for him, I think. At least
what about it makes it very bad for him?
Again, that outside high ground area and the fact the point is so open. Hanzo's just so good on this map. It's very easy to just like pre-fire corners, for example, on Hanzo, and you'll get a headshot or two. That could be a kill or two. And Reaper doesn't really get that kind of spam opportunity, which is why I always say it's fine to play. It's just there's always something that's going to be better to play.
Something that's better or has a more of an advantage or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it's
here
like,
are you?
It's like putting the ankle weights on.
So here, are you flanking to kill a support or to use your Death Blossom?
I think I'm just gonna kill the Hanzo as he comes out of spawn. Yeah. It's fine. He could kill me there. Could happen. But I mainly want the Hanzo kill. He's coming out of spawn. And once the Hanzo's dead, the Blossom is fine. There's not much that's gonna kill me.
Alright. Got the Hanzo. That was a good kill.
So you're also playing this very, very solo to the point where it doesn't really seem like you're putting much thought or really caring about what the rest of your team is doing. You're very, very independent on this hero. Is that just your playstyle, or do you think that's how Reaper should operate? You're not really relying on heals. You're not, taking advantage of the space on the map that your tanks are or could be providing for you. Very much like a one-man operation here.
I don't think, and I see it in my game sometimes. Sometimes people will try to pick Lucio to like play on me, and I just don't think you get as much out of putting resources into Reaper as you will out of putting resources into other heroes. It's just usually, you're not going to do enough with the resources to justify getting them to begin with.
Okay.
He's a fine hero to do that. You get one kill, you get a pack, all of a sudden, you not only are up numbers, but now they have to worry about the Reaper that could be flanking again.
Yeah, there you just 1-2, the bubble's gone, and then killed the Reinhardt underneath him, and did the same thing to the... Sorry, I just delete.
Oh, and...
Fuck aiming. Just Blossom to finish him off.
It's really good for that, actually. In like, securing kills that matter a lot, like the Hanzo, for example, just Blossom him, Guarantees the kill, basically. Removes any kind of pressure out of the scenario. And actually, people will often get really pressured when they get Blossom like that.
Because they know they have a very limited amount of time to kill you before they themselves go down.
And in the same vein, they're like, "Why is he doing this? Why would he do that to me? Why is he using his ultimate? It's just me. I'm just one guy."
Yeah, if I had been watching this from the perspective of like a reviewer for somebody in Gold or Diamond, somewhere in there, probably be talking about how probably not the highest use of ultimate or the most efficient use of your ultimate, but if you're taking it from the perspective that you are when you approach this hero to the point where Blossom is more or less disposable or just makes things easier or isn't a tool that we can use in order to clutch fights or something, then from that perspective these Blossoms make sense. So you killed the Hanzo, spawn camped him, and then walked up behind and Death Blossom to 3, whereas you could have probably won without the Death Blossom. The Death Blossom just kind of fight over. It's now done.
Yeah.
So
secures the fight and ensures that you get the win. It's actually probably the best ultimate for that. Because sometimes I'll do that on Genji a lot, where I'll blade in a fight that looks like we could win without it, and it's probably fine. But a Blossom is a lot less important than Dragon Blade, and much better for making sure you win a fight.
any other thoughts or things that happened during that game that you kind of wanted to point out or anything like that?
There wasn't really that much. That game was pretty straightforward. There wasn't really a lot of pressure that I felt. I find that the games that are very, very difficult are games against double sniper now, or games that people call out my location. There have actually been a lot of games. There was a lot of games on Saturday, because I play Reaper on Fridays and Saturdays, where both supports would instantly turn around when they thought that I was near the back line. And those games are actually super annoying, but it like never happens in GM. It's very uncommon for supports to react that way. Most of the time, it's like 6 people are playing completely independently, and those games are really good for me.
So, do you watch, or have you watched much Reaper play from people in Gold, Plat, Diamond, anything like that?
No, I haven't really done any VOD review.
So you have like no idea of what would be, a common mistake of a Reaper player. So for you, it's just kind of like, do this, click on things, they die, win games. Hooray, I'm top 10 in Overwatch.
Yeah.
But what were we talking about on your stream the other day where I asked you a question and you're like, man, I don't know. I just like walk forward and keep shooting till they're dead. I don't remember what the question was.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
That's too funny. So are you It's one of the other things that we talk about this channel all the time is the difference or like the debate between talent or practice. And so you played CS:GO and TF2 previously before Overwatch.
Yep.
So give me a rough estimate of the number of hours you have in first-person shooters.
Okay. So in TF2 I started playing when I was 8, by the way. My dad got me TF2. He got me the orange box for my 8th or Christmas when I was 8, I think. And I played TF2 for 7 years, about 4,000 hours. Now, not all of those were spent playing sixes, which was the competitive format that everyone played. I have 4,000 hours on Team Fortress 2, and I would say maybe 3/4 of those are playing primarily sixes. CS:GO I played 1,500 hours or something on. I wasn't like particularly good, but aiming was what I was really good at. So 5,500, 6,000 hours or something. And I've been playing Overwatch since it came out for 6 hours every day or something like that.
So all of that kind of bundled together with a bow on top.
Yeah, yeah.
Practice or talent? Do you consider yourself a talented individual, or was it like were you, at the very start, were you always that good and you've just been that good forever, or was it over the course of 6, 7, 8,000 hours that you became this good? Which is it, talent or practice?
I think it's practice. I remember some of the first Pugs pickup games. For those of you who don't know, in TF2 that I played with my dad actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was terrible. I was consistently like bottom fragging, and my dad was too, to be fair. But it made me feel a little bit better. I wasn't very good. I still wasn't very good even after several thousand hours compared to a lot of the people that you guys know, Clockwork, Ruin, etc., all the players that came over to Overwatch, Harblue, Seagull, etc. All those guys were a lot better at the game than I was. I was fine, but it wasn't great. But I was very young, so that's my excuse, and that's what I'm sticking to. I think I really think that some people are talented like that, but the majority of people, practice will get you just as far. And a lot of people, I think, just kind of throw their hands up when they don't really see much results, but they fail to take into account that ranked is not the be all end all. You may be down in SR, but I think as long as you keep playing, you're getting better. You're recording your VODs and watching them again. SR is a very approximate calculation of your skill.
Yes,
a lot of people
absolutely.
take it as, all right, well, I lost 100 points, so I must be getting worse. When the opposite is true, I think.